Okay, in Tanya, we began last Wednesday night, we didn't learn Tanya, because we were learning about Shavuos. We started the second paragraph of Tanya, chapter of Tanya, which in the most of the English Tanya's on page 6 at the bottom, and the top is page Vav. The last thing we discussed, we just learned the first two lines of the second parak. In the first parak, Dr. Rebbe discussed the 5 levels of people, to tzaddikim, to Rasha, to Rishayim, and the Beinani, and he started explaining that the nefesh, the animal soul of the Jew comes from klipas neiga. That's what's in the blood, giving us life. By the non-Jews, he says that the nefesh habamis, the animal soul, comes from shosh klipas atmeis, and we discuss it in great length. What that means, it's not something negative. It's just the way that Hashem made it. And then in this parak, he starts saying the nefesh Chanie is Yisrael, the second nefesh of the Jew, which is only found by the Jew, is chelek alakami mal mamish. We discussed what that means last time. Okay, with the second line, like it says, how do we know the neshama is a part of God? The commercial cost, like it says, vayipar ba'apar nishmas chayim. After Hashem created the body of Adam Arishan, Hashem blew into his nose, vayipar ba'apar, Hashem blew into his nostrils a neshama of life. And then the Rebbe quotes the second thing that we say in davening every day, Va'ata nafachta bi, you blew it into me. In other words, the first pasuk refers to Adam Arishan that can mean everybody, but the Rebbe adds, Ata nafachta bi, that neshama is only by a Jew. Now, what does this mean? Okay, I'm going to read one more line. It says in the Zayar, and the Rebbe interesting brings down, the Rebbe says what it says in the Zayar, but in our Prince of Zayar, it doesn't say that, but it's brought down in the earlier Kabbalah Svarim. Obviously, now Rebbe's version of the Zayar, it did say it. It says, "Man de nafach miteichi nafach." A person that blows from his innards, from his inside. I'll explain in a second. Pirish miteichi yusei umipnim yusei, from his innards and from his deeper levels. The internal and innermost parts of a person is brought out by a person when he blows. Okay, so Dr. Rebbe is explaining one point, we're going to elaborate on this now. Dr. Rebbe is explaining that why is the neshama part of God? Because the neshama, it says Hashem blew. And the Zayar says, one who blows from this innards. But as we all know, when you talk, air comes out. When you blow, and you could talk and talk and talk and talk. When you blow, you feel your whole innards are coming out. It's also air. But speech is external air. And when you blow, you feel your whole, as you say in Yiddish, your kish, your stomach, your innards are coming out. And now Rebbe adds the word, especially when you blow with strength. And I'll explain what that means also in a second. This is a fundamental thing in Chassidus that we need to elaborate on a little bit. It's well known, but again, this is where we're learning it and we're going to explain it. It's self-understood, like it says in Rambam, Hashem has no body, ein le guf, ve'ein le demus haguf. God does not have a body. God does not have any image of a body. God is bodiless. Therefore, when the Torah uses physical terminology for Hashem, it doesn't mean it in a physical sense. We say every day in davening, right before Oz Yashir, Vayar Yisrael as Hayod Hagdolah. They saw the big hand of God. By the splitting of the sea. Trust me, they did not see a hand of God. God doesn't have a hand. When it says in the beginning of Chumash, Vayomer Elokim, God said. Vayidaber Hashem o Moshe lemar, Hashem spoke to Moshe. God forbid to say that Hashem has a mouth and he's talking. So what does it mean? What does it mean? The finger. Etzba Elokim he. The Egyptian said it's the finger of God. What is it? God has a finger. God has a mouth. God blows. So explanation of this, especially according to Chassidus, is what's called Dibra Torah Koloshin B'nei Adam. Torah speaks in human terms. In other words, in order for us to have an understanding a little bit what we're talking about, Hashem uses human terms for us to understand the concept. Hashem doesn't have a hand, God forbid. But what is the concept of a hand? When you say right hand and left hand, right hand represents giving something with kindness. Left hand represents giving something in a form of gevura, of severity. When you say about Hashem's hand, Yemincha Hashem, Hashem's right hand, it means God is giving. When God gives something of kindness, Hashem bestows kindness and goodness to the people. So the Torah uses the term Yod Hagdolah. When God split the sea and the Jews saw this unbelievable miracle, that the Jews were saved and the Egyptians were drowned, and the whole miracle of what happened. So what happened is, when Hashem does acts of kindness, the Torah says the Jews saw the big hand of God, because conceptually, hand means to give. What is the purpose of a mouth? The purpose of a mouth is obviously to talk. But what is speech? What is talking? So Chassidus explains most people first they think and then they talk. But if I want to convey something to you, it's not enough to think it. Unless we told the story a few weeks ago at Rabbi Hillel Paracha with the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek thought the Maimer, and then Rabbi Hillel went out and repeated it. But normal people don't see your thoughts. So when I think something, it's revealed to me only, not to you. If I want to reveal that intellectual concept to you, what do? I speak, I say it. I have a feeling, an emotion, love, fear. I want to reveal, but you don't see the love. If I want to reveal that love to you, I will speak it. I will say, I love you. So what is speech? The concept of speech essentially is the revelation of something concealed. That is the concept of speech. The concept of speech is something was hidden from you. If I want to reveal it to you, I speak it. So speech actually reveals something which is previously concealed. So therefore, when it says in Chumash, Vayomer Elokim Yehi Or, God said, let there be light, and light became. Trust me, God, they didn't hear voices coming out, Yehi Or. What it means is very simple, Chassidus explains. Hashem has the power to create light, but that power wasn't revealed. Hashem said, i.e., Hashem revealed his power that he had to create light, and then light became created. Before that, it was concealed in God. It wasn't revealed. What does speech mean? Hashem had the ability to create the heavens, but he didn't do it yet. Vayomer Elokim, Hashem said, meaning Hashem revealed that hidden power that he had to create the heavens, and the heavens became created. That is in everything that God created in the world, except when it comes to the body of man, of mankind, Hashem said, "Vayomer Elikim na'asa Adam." Hashem said, "Let us make man," meaning the body of the person, of the human, was created through speech. When it comes to the neshama of the Jew, the Torah says, "Vayipar ba'apav Hashem blew." What does it mean, Hashem blew? He didn't go blow. What it means is like this. Speech is a revelation. Air is coming out. You're revealing an idea. But it's very limited and external. It's very external. It's very limited. It's minute. And therefore, like we said before, you can talk for hours and you're okay. When you blow, you feel your whole inside is coming out. It's a much deeper revelation when you use the word blowing than it is when you use the word speaking. When the Torah says about the neshama of Adam Rishon, va'ato nefachta bi, Hashem blows into each one of us. What does it mean? Hashem is revealing his essence. Hashem is revealing his essence. Hashem is revealing his essence in a way that it's actually a chelek elokah mimau. So what is the neshama? The Torah uses the word blowing because when you blow, it's coming from your essence. And the Rebbe uses the word and the Rebbe says an interesting thing. Why does Alter Rebbe say when you blow with strength? Because the neshama as a part of Hashem is extremely hidden. You know, sometimes there's fires are burning, okay, and but it's not, you don't see the fire. So you blow on it, you know, the fire comes out. Sometimes, like bellows, you know, by the blacksmiths and the silversmiths, they would have to blow on it with a lot of power and might. Because sometimes the revelation is so deep, and this, on the contrary, shows the greatness of the neshama. The greatness of the neshama is so deeply rooted in Hashem, so to speak, to reveal that essence of himself. He brought it out with koyach, with strength. So therefore, what is Alter Rebbe saying over here? The neshama of a Jew, nefesh lekis, as it's called, the godly soul, is actually part of God. Where do you see that? It's a pasuk in Chumash. Hashem blew. He didn't speak. Hashem didn't say, "Let there be a neshama." He could have done that also. But Hashem didn't say, "Let there be a neshama," because then the neshama wouldn't be a part of God. Hashem blew, and then the neshama is a part of Hashem.
The goof is also part of Hashem.
The body is not part of Hashem like the neshama. The body is like every other creation in the world. We'll learn later that Hashem chose the body.
Rabbi Shusterman, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When you said that if the Kadosh Baruch Hu would have said, "Let there be a neshama," and it would have been a creation instead of Hashem blowing into the people from His essence. But I understand that everything is Hashem, and everything we see is part of Hashem, and it is Hashem. There's no separation between what is and isn't Kadosh Baruch Hu. Some of it is concealed, otherwise, but everything is part of Kadosh Baruch Hu. We just don't see it. So what does that mean? Wouldn't have been part of Hashem had Hashem said, "Let there be a neshama," versus blowing into a person.
Very good question, but I'm going to be Jewish. I'm going to answer you with a question. It's a very good question. Isn't everything God? We were once Bachim in America Shlichus many years ago before I got married. We were Bachim, we went to Denver. And there's the Guru Marayashi then was very popular. It was in the late 60s, early 70s, the Guru Marashi. And they had a headquarters in Denver. And their philosophy was that everything is God. Everything is God. But they had it all messed up because we started talking to them. We just made them crazy. So then why is this a table and this is a chair? Then the table and the chair should be the same thing because it's all God. Or let me ask you a question. You don't have to answer because I will ask and answer and explain it. If this Tanya or Sefer is holier, it's holier than a regular newspaper. Tefillin, the leather of tefillin, is holier than a pair of shoes. The wool of tzitzis is holier than any other wool garment. Now, if God is in everything, what makes it more holy? If the definition of holiness is God's existence, so then why is there a difference between a Sefer, which has Torah in it, or a comic book? I mean, God's in a comic book also. The existence of the comic book is from Hashem. Yes, but the revelation of godliness in the regular book is external. The essence of the Jew, and therefore a Jew is godly, and therefore, like we spoke many, many times based on what the Rebbe taught in many sikhs, that just like when a Jew is given a mission to accomplish by Hashem, and he says, I can't. Typical Jewish answer, I can't. The Rebbe says, what do you mean you can't? Your neshama is a godly power. It's a godly generator. Is there something God can't do? If there's something God can't do, that doesn't exist. If God can do it, so can your neshama. What you need to do is reveal the neshama over the body. But then there's nothing you can't do if Hashem said you should do it. Or you could do it, because you have to do it, and you could do it. The fact that the essence of Hashem is all over the place doesn't take away from the fact that everything in the world openly is an external level of God, and the neshama openly is the essence of God. Even the external in the essence of it is also God. But openly, it's an external revelation of godliness, while the neshama, its essence, is the essence of God in a revealed form. And therefore, like we were discussing when we were talking about counting Yidden, what did counting accomplish? That all the Jews are equal. I, Moshe Rabbeinu, is much, much, much greater than everybody else. The answer is no. In the essence of my neshama, Moshe Rabbeinu and every single Jew are the same. Yeah, in the intellect, the emotions, and thought, speech, and action, is a whole different world. But in the essence, Moshe Rabbeinu is not more Jewish than me, and I'm not less Jewish than Moshe Rabbeinu. Neshama meaning a part of God, meaning it's openly a part of God. Not like everything else externally is only an external revelation of godliness. Yeah, in the essence, there isn't a thing outside of God. And we'll see this as we get along in the next few lines. The Rebbe explains another interesting point of what the Alter Rebbe is saying. So he says like this, Kachal derech mashal, so it is therefore, so to speak, Neshamas Yisrael olu b'machshava. The Jews are risen in the high level of Hashem's thought. Meaning, everything else in the world, like we said, was created with speech. Thought is my thought. You don't see my thoughts. Thought is me. In fact, Chassidus explains a very interesting concept. Now, the Rebbe says in Torah, why is a person called Adam? Why is a person called Adam? He says Aleph stands for thought. I'll explain why in a second. And Dalid stands for Dibur, which is speech. And Mem refers to Ma'aseh, which is action. But the Rebbe says, why is a person called Aleph, Dalid, Mem? Adam. Aleph is thought. Dalid is Dibur, speech. Mem is Ma'aseh, which is action, and that's the person. So the Rebbe asks that we should be called Madame. You know, like the French, Madame. Machshava, Dibur, Ma'aseh. Then we should be called Madame. Why are we called Adam? So the Rebbe explains because in the three garments, as we'll learn later in Tanya, in Perek Daled, the three garments, thought, speech, and action, machshava is called Aleph. Why is machshava called Aleph? Because machshava is one with the person. Dibur, speech, you can sometimes stop speaking. Maisa, action, you can sometimes stop acting. You can stop action. Thought, you can never stop thinking. Because even if you're not thinking, you are thinking that you're not thinking. Okay, when you tell people you don't know what you're not thinking now, they are thinking. Not the way you like it, so they're not thinking. But thinking you can never stop. Why? Because thought is one with the neshama. And therefore Chassidus explains that a sinful thought, even though we're not punished for it, except Avodah Zarah, even though we're not punished for a sinful thought, but the blemish on the soul is deeper when it's a thought than when speech or action. Why? Because thought is closer to the soul. It's one with the soul. It's Aleph. And therefore, if you blemish that, it's a greater, deeper blemish on the soul. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, Olu b'machshava, meaning the Jews come from Hashem's thought. What does that mean? So he says, Kidiksiv, like it says in the Pasuk, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael, the Jews are called my firstborn sons, Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem, you are God's children. Okay? And the Rebbe points out an interesting thing. The Rebbe is quoting two psukim. My firstborn son, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael, and then the second pasuk, Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. And the Rebbe discusses, the Rebbe's explanations of Tanya, discusses that one pasuk was before Matan Torah, B'ni b'chayri Yisrael, when Hashem is speaking that the Jews are my firstborn son, that was in Mitzrayim to Moshe Rabbeinu. That was before the Torah was given. When did the Jews really become God's children? By Matan Torah, when Hashem said, Banim atem l'Hashem Elokechem. But the Rebbe says, factually, this is not something that could change before Torah or after Torah. If you're a child, you're a child. But the Alter Rebbe is saying two things. Number one, not are we not only children of Hashem, but we're the firstborn children of Hashem. Like the Baal Shem Tov said, and the Alter Rebbe quoted it, and the Rebbe quoted it many, many times, all the Rebbeim quoted it, that the love that Hashem has to every single Jew is like the love of an only child born in the parents' ripe old age. An only child, obviously the B'chor, he's the only child. The love that an old couple that never had children for many, 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 many years and all of a sudden has a child, an only child, the love to that child is the love that Hashem has to every single Jew. Because the Jew is the B'chor of Hashem. So now again, the question is, the pasuk says we are God's children. Now, we're not God's children. Let's leave it at that. We're not God's children. So what does it mean? The pasuk says you are Hashem's children. So now the Rebbe gives again the concept of it. What's the concept? Kamesha ben nimshich mimoyachav, just like a human child comes from the intellect, from the brain of the father, because we know there's an Gemara in Kishi el Ladas, or we know that a child who doesn't have maturity of intellect cannot produce seed to create a child. So seed comes from the intellect of the father, from the brain and machshava of the father. So therefore, kach kaviyachol nishamas kol ish Yisrael. So therefore, so to speak, the neshama of every single Jew comes memachshavte v'chachmasa yizbarich. It comes from Hashem's chachma. In other words, what is the Torah saying? The analogy that we are Hashem's children. It doesn't mean, again, physically we're God's children. What it means, just like a child comes from the brain of the father, which produces the seed, so every Jew is created from the level of Chokhmah, from Hashem's intellect. And he says, what is unique about Hashem's Chokhmah? The Iyu Chakim, Hashem has Chokhmah, v'lei b'Chokhmah Yediyah, but not with a knowledgeable form of Chokhmah, not an our level of Chokhmah. Our level of wisdom is limited. Hashem's level of wisdom is super infinite. And he says, Elohu v'Chokhmasei echad, God and his wisdom are one. And he quotes the Rambam, Shehu Amada. The Rambam says that he is the knowledge, V'hu HaYedeya, and he is the knower, and he is the thing being known. Okay? Which means as follows. Now, Rebbe is setting a premise. The person is created beside the fact that Hashem blew. Hashem also, we are called Hashem's children. That means just like a child, physical child, comes from the intellect of the father, which produces the seed. When the Torah says we are Hashem's children, we are coming from Hashem's intellect. And the intellect of God and Hashem himself are one. By a person, if I study math, there's three things. There's me, there's the math, and there's the knowing. I am one, the math, the subject is something else, and then my knowing the subject. Those are three distinct things. By Hashem, the Rambam writes, Hashem and his wisdom are all one.
Would you say that's why a person is called, the first person was called Adam, because it used machshava, as you said, the aleph from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the dibur when Hashem blew into us, and the maisa we were created as such?
Well, that's one of the reasons why he was called Adam, Adam al-Elyon, because we're similar to Hashem. And yeah, in that respect, it's one of the reasons why he's called Adam, in that level, Adam, which refers to the neshama. And then you have this pasuk says the reason is because he came from the Adama, which refers to the body, the physical body, which came from the earth. That's how Hashem formed, as the pasuk says, Afer Atav el Afer Tashuv. You are created out of earth, and you, after 120 years, you go back to earth. But the Adam al-Elyon is because of the machshava dibur ha'maisa of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yes, and now the Rebbe is explaining, and he says clearly, we can't understand what that means. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's very simple. If I learn something that I didn't know, now I know something I didn't know before. That means I am not what I know, because before I know it, I'm not any less me. I'm still me, except I have less knowledge. So, because the knowledge and me are two separate things. But by Hashem, because there's nothing outside of Hashem, Hashem's knowing and knowledge and knower is all one thing. And therefore, if a Jew comes to Hashem's Chokhmah, the level of Chokhmah, which is the source of the seed that creates the child, so then in essence, the pasuk is saying, we come from the Chokhmah of Hashem. Now, if we come from the Chokhmah of Hashem, then the Rambam writes, Hashem and his Chokhmah are one, so therefore the Neshama is a part of God. These are all psukim, but the Rebbe says the Rebbe explains an interesting point about that in the analogy of the Jew and Hashem, it's even more than a father and a child. Because when a father creates the child becomes a separate entity. Therefore, halachically, I'm not saying you should do it. Halachically, if I could save my father's life or my life, halachically, I come first. If my father is going to lose money, if I'm going to lose money, halachically, you come first. Even before a parent. Halachically. Why? The Rebbe explains. Because after the child is born, he becomes a separate entity. As the Zohar uses the expression, the child is the knee of the father. but he's not the father. It's a separate entity. By a Jew's neshama and Hashem, there's no such thing as the neshama leaving God. The neshama is always connected to Hashem. The essence of the neshama is always connected to Hashem. So in this analogy of the Jew being Hashem's child, it's even stronger than the analogy of a child, which after the child is born, the child leaves the father. But by the neshama, it remains constantly. It can never leave it. Okay, that's it for today. It's 9:30 already. And Mitzvah Shem, don't forget Monday night. Classes these days are 8:30 to 9:30, Monday and Wednesday.
May I co-sponsor tonight's class and dedicated to the baby Terani, newborn?
We'd like to give Moshe Mataban and his wife Lida Mazel Tov. They had a new grandson born 2 days ago. Mazel Tov. It should be in baby's honor. He's co-sponsoring the class. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. He was born yesterday.
Yesterday. No, tonight, 30 tomorrow. So it's okay. By the way, tell people about the class. And if you want to sponsor a class, please let us know. Don't forget to daven Ma'ariv, everybody. If you didn't do Kiddush Levana yet, tomorrow night probably is Friday night you could do it, but try to do it tonight or tomorrow night latest. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Bye-bye.
I'd like
Rabbi.
Thank you.
Stay healthy and safe.
Amen, you too.
Thank you.
Bye. Good evening. Thank you.
Bye.
Good
I'd
night.
like to
Good night.
Next Monday's session.
Okay. Take care. Bye.
Bye.